is critical to what you need to do. When that happens, I know that feeling is so deep that, man, I forgot this. Because I forgot this, it can impact a couple of different types of dinners, or without that ingredient, it can really throw off something. And so, if you take it a little deeper and you're supposed to pick up your kid and you get sidetracked because you're doing something and your kid standing out there 10 or 15 minutes late, because you forgot, can you imagine as a kid, she forgot me or he forgot me, and then as a parent, how could I? So, it's the same thing, that feeling of like hopelessness when you feel that you're going through something. People should understand, or you feel like people should know, or if you even told somebody and you felt like you should have warranted a different response for them and you didn't get it. Being forgotten is a very lonely, uh, isolated place.
Right.
But we're going to come to you with the word, and we're going to spruce it up so
Okay.
that when you feel like you're forgotten, you won't ever feel that way again after the day. So we have some scriptures that we're going to cover today, quite a few of them.
Okay.
Um, it's going to be Genesis chapter 40 and verse number 14. Also, number 23 from the same chapter. Let me flip my paper over. And then we'll also be talking to you from Psalms chapter 9, Psalms chapter, that's wrong. I don't have the verse. So it's 9 through 12, 14 through 17, and 21. It's Psalms 31.
Psalms 31.
I got everything written down but that. So it's Psalms 31, 9 through 12, 14 through 17, and then finally it'll be verse number 21.
Okay.
So, you gonna read that?
So we're gonna start off with our main verse first.
Yeah, this one. With 40.
Okay.
And verse number 14, and then 23.
All right. So Genesis chapter 40
Uh-huh.
and
14.
verse number 14 says, "But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of prison." And then the second verse
It's that last
is
one right there, verse number 23. The end one. Right.
23 says, "The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him."
All right. So I want to tilt this up just a little. There we go. And so that's very important. Joseph was in prison. You had a cupbearer, and you also had a bread maker. And both of them had got thrown into prison while Joseph was already there. So it said the cupbearer and the chief baker were there. And so some things took place during that time, and Joseph was in the doghouse, and they were thrown into the doghouse. And here we have three people that are in prison. And so the scripture says in Genesis chapter 40 and 14, Joseph was simply telling them, hey, when you get back to your normalcy, I need you to remember me and get me out of here. And so what we found out is that as we read through the scripture, the baker and the cupbearer were working for the king, and they were thrown into prison because of something that they did, and the king was not pleased with them. But I guess let me just go back and talk to you about what a cupbearer is. And so what we found out, a cupbearer's job description is something that's held at high esteem. So if the king, promotes you to cupbearer, that means you going from you moving up the top to the top of the hill. And so a cupbearer's position is held at high esteem with high regard, high respect. They're a person of modesty,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a person that is greatly valued among the king's people. They have to be courageous. They have to be courageous because
Right.
of the job that they do. And there is a level of trust on several levels that has to be in that space. And so this cupbearer, for whatever reason, when he was thrown into prison, he was not happy about it. Neither was the chief baker, neither was Joseph. But a cupbearer's job, one of them is to taste, they bring the wine to the king. But in some instances,
Mm-hmm.
when that king is paranoid
Right.
or wondering about, hey, who might try to hurt me? So the cupbearer is supposed to drink the wine or whatever beverage that the king has
Mm-hmm.
before the king drinks it.
Right.
And so you have to be courageous to do something like that because you could very well lose your life.
Right.
Uh, but in defense of the king,
Mm. Yeah. And LaWanda said greatly trusted.
mhm,
So you to be in that position, you do have to be greatly
you have
trusted.
to be greatly trusted because a lot of times when we have people around us in our closest circles,
Mm-hmm.
some people that we trust are not always trustworthy.
That's
We'll
right.
talk about that at another time. But what we do know is that the king did trust him, or he would not have had him to be the cupbearer.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to hold and put a pin in that. The chief cupbearer, I'm confusing the chief baker. The cupbearer's job was at a high regard. Modesty was one of those attributes greatly valued and trusted, like Lawanda said, and you have to have an unbelievable amount of courage
Mm-hmm.
to be in a space like that, knowing that something could definitely happen to you, and you are being like that next to the front line before the king. So I want you to put a pin in that cupbearer,
Mm-hmm.
high esteem,
Okay.
modesty,
Mm-hmm.
courage, trustworthy, and greatly valued. Put a
Okay.
pin in that. And then we can go back to the fact that when Joseph was in prison, now he have two roommates,
Mm-hmm.
and those two roommates are in there with him talking about how they don't want to be there. And you know what happens when people go to prison? I shouldn't be in prison. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything. So now, good morning. And so now we have an issue going on, and Joseph simply asked him, "Hey, when you get out of here,
Mm-hmm.
if you get out of here, I want you to remember me." So we put a pin in what the cupbearer's job was. Now we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
So,
But you know what though? How many times do we help others? Not just really looking for anything, but how many times do we help others and they forget about us when they reach their level or their point or their position?
I mean, sometimes it happens. I don't focus on really what they do. It's more is how was my heart when I was doing whatever I was doing to support them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about what they do. Me personally, if they go and forget, fine, because that wasn't really what my job was. My job was really to support them, pray for them, lift them up, help them in whatever area that was.
Mm-hmm.
And if I know my heart was right in that space, I don't worry about whether they remember me or, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But we understand that it does exist, and we understand as a human being when somebody does that to you, it hurts. When we
Mm-hmm.
went back to the description of forgetting something
Right.
and how that lonely place is, I'm not trying to take away from that because that exists. For me, I try to focus on, Lord, if you ask me to do something, or if
Mm-hmm.
you provided a space in this context for me to be able to help somebody in this way, hey,
Right.
that's what we want to do. So in that aspect, I don't worry about it. But the reality is, you're a human being, and when a humanoid hurts you, it hurts.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly, Luanda. She
mhm,
said we're human. I know that you know what you're saying. it amazes us how that switch flips so quickly.
That's
Yeah.
true. But you just have to really take a step back, and that's what I've been talking about, at least for Millicent, the last couple of weeks. Is I need to take a step back. What is my focus, and then who am I going to really about my pain, or my
Right.
or how I feel. You know, I should be able to go to my mama. I don't have a father, but I should be able to go to my wife. I
Hmm.
should be able to go to a trusted friend, you know. But more so when I was talking about to take this step back, it was just to take a step back and reflect. Hey, Lord, in this space, this is how I felt.
Hmm.
And I know you know it because I'm the one that came to you when I was hurting,
Right.
And so you take the step back to say, Lord, look here, I'm coming to you again, not trying to be a pest about woe is me,
Hmm.
but I need you to take this feeling out of my heart
Right.
so I can better serve you.
Yeah.
That's a private conversation, a very intimate conversation, but it's necessary. So,
Yeah. So that way it doesn't affect you
mhm,
mentally or physically from doing the job that you could be doing to glorify Him.
that is the key. You don't allow some of the shortcomings of somebody else or even your own stumbling blocks to
Hmm.
be something that keeps you stagnant in those small spaces and places,
Hmm.
in your car, in the restroom, whatever,
Hmm.
in a backyard or wherever. Stop, take a step back,
Hmm.
pause, and acknowledge God in a space. I did it. I did it yesterday. You know, just sitting. No, it was the day before yesterday. Just sitting out on the porch.
Okay.
And Millicent and went inside to go get something because we sit out there hanging out. And it got dark when he cut the light on.
Hmm.
And I said, Lord, I just want to take the time, even in this space right now. It's dark. Just say thank you for a bunch of things. And I did. I
Okay.
said, I want you to think that I don't see the goodness and the greatness and the things you're doing for me and for my
Hmm.
family. So I hurry up and I took that time. And so that's what.
Hmm.
So I want to go back to putting a pin in it because we get ready to take this roller coaster ride. And when you get to the top
Hmm.
and that thing is clicking, and when it stops clicking, you're going down.
Oh goodness.
You're going down. And so you want to read that before I go
Uh-oh.
into that?
So what happened? Did I freeze it? Did I do that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know, but we're gonna keep moving because it just stopped over there. But the thing is, when I said put a pin in it,
Hmm.
Millicent and I want to go back to what was going on. So the the cupbearer had a dream
Uh-huh.
while they were in prison with Joseph. And
Okay.
of course, Joseph was one of those that interpret dreams. So in that dream, can you go back and can you go back to what it said in that dream? Because it says something about him, just the part where he said something about, one said something about the bread being over his head and something eating it, but the other one. So he had a dream, and the cupbearer wanted to know what it meant. Oh,
Hmm.
there it is. And so it says, so the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. He said to him, in my dream, I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were three branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup and put the cup in his hand. This is what this means. This is what Joseph was telling the cupbearer.
Hmm.
The three branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer.
Hmm.
Now, take the pen out. It says in verse number 14, but when all goes well with you, that's Joseph talking to the cupbearer. He says, remember me and show me kindness.
Hmm.
Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this position, in this
Uh-huh.
prison. So we're going to put a pin in it back. So now we understand that Joseph was already there. He didn't know that they were going to be thrown into prison. Both of them had some dreams. We just talked about the first one, the grapes budding, the grapes being squeezed back into a cup, and then the cup being given to the king. The fact that the 3 days would mean that he's going to be back from 3 days from the day of this interpretation of this dream. He would be back to his original status with the
Right.
king. Now we need to go back to what the chief baker and what happened with him. There he is. Go back. Oh, just go right there. So where do I start? Okay, it says when the chief baker saw Joseph had given him a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, "I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head." And then Joseph said, "This is what it means." Joseph said, "The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away at your flesh. Now, that third day, it says, now the third day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials, and he lifted up their heads, and he lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand.
Okay.
But he impaled the chief baker just as Joseph said. So you had two people. Both of them received what they asked for, an interpretation of the dream. Here is where we talk about things and people forgetting. So, and Millicent, you can correct me if I mess up. Please do. When the cupbearer was restored back to his position, he did not remember Joseph.
Mm-mm.
He didn't remember Joseph until 2 years later,
Right.
when the king had a dream and the king needed it interpreted, and then he said, "Oh, I know somebody that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
He's in prison. He was the guy that interpreted my dream, and then I was restored back to preeminence to be your cupbearer." 2 years.
Yeah.
He asked him to remember him after 3 days,
Wow.
but he didn't do it. So I want you to think about that space of 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
him not remembering him. What kind of mental fortitude, mental strength, mental toughness do you think that Joseph had to have
Yeah.
to be sitting in that prison two
Yeah.
additional years after he asked him in verse number 14,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, bruh, remember me after you go back to the king.
Right.
Don't leave me down here dangling in this nasty space and place.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get out of here. So just mention me." He didn't say do no dissertation.
Right.
All Joseph said, "Bruh, mention me when you get back to the top of the hill,
Mm-hmm.
where they're going to give you a bath and put you on some good clothes and get the stench off you. Remember me." And the only reason he remembered him 2 years later, because King had a dream
Right.
and he didn't know how to interpret it. He didn't even have a skill set. But God did not forget Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
God remembered him in that space. But I really don't want to just sit in the fact that, you know, we know that God remembered him, but what was going on in the 2 years? I think that's what we need to put the pin
Okay.
in. Joseph could have got very angry with God and say, "Look, I did what you asked me to do. I interpret these dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I spend my time making sure that I praise you, that I do what's right.
Right.
And here I am sitting in a dungeon and this man don't even know you like I do, and he up there hanging out, wearing the royal robes and all the good silk linen, and I'm down here sitting below the level. I'm in the basement.
But one thing I want to point out is that the way he responded to Pharaoh, even when he sent for him, you know, they shaved him, cleaned him up, put on, you know, clean clothes, but his attitude.
Yeah. You got something that you want to read?
No.
Oh.
But I'm just saying. But Joseph's attitude.
Yeah.
You know, when he was presented before the king.
Yeah.
It was still out of humility. It was still out of grace. Even after 2 years of being forgotten, his attitude.
But why you think that? Because if it was somebody else, they could have been doggone like going off, you know, saying, "Lord, thank you, but hey, you didn't have to leave me there down there like that."
Right.
No, he was very humble because I'm sorry, something's in my eye. He was very humble because he was steady practicing that spirit of humility the whole time he was down in that prison.
Still praying, still believing.
Still believing. Because there was
actually
some things,
he could have been dead.
He could have been dead. So then again, when I said take a couple of steps back, that's what I was talking about being thankful. That each 365 days times 2, 366 days times 2, plus 3 additional days when the man was supposed to go back and remember him. Just think about this. He kept on praising. He kept on believing, and he was sustained. He did not die of sickness, disease, or famine. He was fed.
In his right mind.
Yes. So that preparation for when he was restored back to where he was, quite naturally, if you go and read, you'll see that he got a whole truckload of stuff. You know, as a leader, blessings, territory. I mean, he got a lot. You know, he endured a lot, but he got a lot. So,
and you know what we talked about several months back about trusting the process. Through all of that, for 2 years, he trusted the process.
He trusted the process because a lot of people don't have the strength to do that. And if you don't, that could be the very reason why you're going through that. Not because God wants to prove a point. Is that okay? If he sees an area that he knows needs to be developed, because there's a door that only you can open that's to your specifications, height, body types, whatever. You're the only person that can open that door. But to walk through that door, you need to be thoroughly prepared. And so that when you go through that door, everything that's for you, you have been prepared through the process of being in that space 2 years or 2 months or whatever it is, that everything that you have to deal with and everything that you are commanded to lead over, you have all the skill set, the mannerisms, you know, the attitude, the humility, the compassion, the empathy to be able to do that job.
And that's just what Ramona said. It wasn't his appointed time. So during that whole 2-year process, it was his preparation time, but it wasn't his appointed time.
Yes. And so when we talk about never being forgotten, God doesn't forget his people. We may forget to do some of the things that we should consistently be doing, and then we feel like we're so disconnected. But if we're consistently doing what we're supposed to be doing, and during them 2 years when he kept going and praying and believing and trusting God, even though the man didn't do what he was supposed to do, just think about every time he laid his head down to sleep, because everybody don't have the same kind of strength, right? So if I'm going to be praying and trusting God for something, and I have a little weariness in my voice, or I have a little, my voice just don't sound the same way, it's cracking or whatever, but I'm acknowledging God that you taking care of me, Lord. You making sure that I'm okay. You making sure that I get up and this is going on every day. So now as a committed person,
Mm-hmm.
I understand and know that even though I'm locked up, I'm not locked out of your presence.
Mm.
I may be locked
Wow.
up, but I'm not locked out. So
Okay.
now we have communication.
Mm-hmm.
Days when I cry and I'm upset and I'm beating my hand against the ground, I still go to sleep in peace
Wow.
because I wake up the next day and I can do the same thing. Now, when I cry and beat the ground again, but even if that was the truth and it
Mm-hmm.
happened, it's just the fact that locked up, but not locked out.
But not locked out.
And we
Okay.
talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
What was it from? Mm,
Right.
what was it? What you call it? Not forget. It says overlooked. There we go.
And
Overlooked
undervalued,
and undervalued, but not
not
forgotten
forgotten.
by God.
I am number 8
I am number
by
8.
Pastor John Gray. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an awesome book to
Mm-hmm.
read. I didn't read it, but I bought it for him.
Because I wanted it.
And he just, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
doted on that book. So if you're in a space
Mm-hmm.
right now where you feel like you've been forgotten, I highly recommend that book.
Read that book, and now they
That's an
got another
awesome
one, so I
read.
need to read the second one. I'm not no avid reader,
Mm-hmm.
but when one thing Milton will tell you, boy, if there's something in there good,
Mm-hmm.
I will sink my teeth into that book until I finish. And so for that one, I read that book because there was a lady that had cancer, and she kept talking about the book and how it got her through that dark time. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because even though other people are praying and all that stuff, you know, if you hear that word, you feel like you got a death sentence. That's just the truth.
Right.
And so she had areas where I was so alone, and I never heard somebody just really pour out their heart like that. But then when she started talking about that book, her face lit up, and I was like, "What kind of book is that?" I need to find. I said, "Cause she keeps saying it like, cause I didn't know what she meant, and but she kept talking about David. I'm like, David, I don't know nothing about no 8, but it was true. It was 7 brothers, and he was number 8. He was the one out there in the field nobody was even concerned about. He stank and he smelled like sheep butt.
Oh,
So,
goodness.
he out there doing that kind of work because all them pooping all over the place. Ain't
Right.
gonna be no nice space and they all dirty. He gotta keep them cleaned up and all that. So they don't listen, they hard headed. They going off, one drifting out. We gotta go find them and protect them from the animals. It's a lot of work. The other brothers got other kind of more important jobs, so they thought. And so when the king was looking for that special one, he told Jesse, "Hey man, none of you guys, you ain't got nobody else." Oh, you can't. No, you can't possibly think about him. He's bringing me in because these guys, they don't fit the bill. But all that time out there in that poop, all that time out there dealing with that stuff, and being the man that he's supposed to be, being prepared, being forgotten, being overlooked, being undervalued. David hit the ground, boy. He hit the ground. And when it was his time, he did what was necessary when it was time. And the
Mm-hmm.
king recognized those inner talents and things because he knew when he saw him. He said, "Yes, sir, this is the one."
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, no, partner, this is not the one." Yes, it is. He said, "Because he's been sitting up under your face all this time. But I know because God said it is." So we I hope that in this space and where we are right now in the lesson, that
Mm-hmm.
you understand that God has not forgotten you. He has not forgotten me or Millicent or your situation or what
Right.
you're going through. What He is looking at, and I can't speak for God, but what we have learned in the process of reading and in our own what's that experiences is that
Uh-huh.
He's looking at the fact that what are we doing with our time when we feel like we are alone, but we're
Right.
really not alone. Who are we going to? Who are we reaching out for?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where is that in our space and time of letting God know that we know He's there, even though we have these feelings, and these feelings are valid and genuine.
Mm-hmm.
They are. I would not dismiss that. There are valid feelings about man. This hurts, this sucks, I don't like it.
Right.
But God's saying, just stand on my word, trust and believe. I
Mm-hmm.
have not left you. I have sustained you. You still have a heartbeat. You
Right.
still can see with or without glasses. You can walk, mostly without a cane.
Right.
You're able to do what some others may not be able to do. You still have 52 muscles in your face,
Mm.
and you still can take 32 of them and make a smile.
Okay.
You still have value and you still have the strength to do. So, we have two more parts of this lesson so we
Mhm.
can land this plane. Our approach is coming. Our approach is coming. Look at the plane. You're not looking at the plane, you're laughing. Our approach is coming. So, this is what we're going to do now. Um, if you have any comments, because we see them popping up, I don't know why the screen is freezing over there, but it's okay. We're going to be all right
We're
because
gonna
it'll
keep we
pop back
can
up.
keep going, so hopefully we're not
Hmm.
frozen on your
Yeah,
end.
but we if you have any comments, type them in. We want to also know how you feel about things. You know, how did you pick yourself up, or how did you allow for yourself to be lifted up when
Right.
you felt like you were alone,
Mhm.
when you felt like, man, nobody can hear me, or I'm invisible. You're not invisible. It's a process for personal growth. It's a process that God sees some things in you that need to be developed.
Mhm.
And it's a place that you really don't want to go. But in this particular situation, you have to go there. So
Right.
you can do one of two things. You can continue to procrastinate and not face it.
Mhm.
And God is just say, okay, just know I'll be back. It's coming. Or you can go on and face it, deal with the pain, deal with the tears, but understand that those tears are not forever, and that pain is not to hurt you. It's the pain is because, hey, I gotta go across this bridge. It's fog and I can't even see if my hands can touch rope all the way through.
Mhm.
But God is saying, trust me, every one of these steps, they are firm. Take the step. I'm scared.
Mhm.
Take the step. I don't want to. Take the step. I'm on the other side. Matter of fact, I'm not even on the other side. I'm right on the side of you. Take
Right.
the step. And so I can imagine if you were in I don't know what was that Brother Gary he did Brother Gary's leap of faith,
Mhm.
and so
Oh
one of
yeah,
one of
yeah.
our one of our friends, and I'm not no adventurous, but when I saw what he did when he retired, he did some unusual things. So he went to Africa, and he went to the highest mountain that they have, and it's a bridge in between these two mountains. And what they do is they
Bungee jump.
bungee jump from that mountain.
Ooh.
And when he took that jump off that doggone bridge, he said, "Sir, I just want to read the disclosure to you. There are people that have died from this. So I just want you to know I have to read the disclosure before you do this." He said, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because you can back out." "No, sir, I will do it." Now, he put the clamps on his ankles and all that stuff. And they video it because a part of the experience is the video you going all the way down.
Right.
He said, "Sir, you need to fold your arms and you just need to fall." He said, "Well, I don't need to fall. You're going to have to push me." "I cannot. You have to go on your own." So he let go and jumped off that thing. And it just seemed like for 10 seconds, it was just dead silence. When he got to the bottom of that bungee jump, you couldn't even see Brother Gary because it was so much fog coming off from the foam of the water that he was not seeing. And then about 3 seconds later, his body snatched back up and then he went back down. And I was like, oh, baby, no. I can't do it. But the issue was when we go back to talking about the process was whatever fear had, he faced it that day,
Mm.
you know. And even to bring another funny thing to it, his wife and his daughter, while she was pregnant, decided that they would jump out of a plane
Oh
and
yeah.
skydive while this girl was pregnant and had fun. I tried to get her to skydive. She said she don't want to do it, but hopefully one day we can go on and do it. Just scream. After a while, you ain't gonna be able to scream no more because you probably won't be able to say nothing.
Well, I overcame one. I got on this ship.
Okay.
That's one. One down.
It's a lot of water out there. Of course it is. Okay, let me stay on track. But the thing was, LaWanda said that his faith now. What you saying?
That's his faith. Laugh out loud. Now read the disclosure. Lord.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm telling you, man,
That's
that
what
was
it
a
was.
long way down. And so the thing was, that process is unavoidable.
Mhm.
And so if we're gonna, and just like Ramona said, trust the process. If you're gonna do something,
Right.
to face yourself and to face what you are as a person,
Yeah.
it can be scary because really you want to be better
Mhm.
and you have to go through your own self.
Yeah.
So go on and deal with yourself. Know that you're not alone, that God is there. What about the other people? The other people come and go. They do.
Right.
They mean well. They mean to support you. They mean to come and do something. But just sometimes they don't do it. They forget.
Yeah.
They forget like he did. And he
Mhm.
forgot for 2 years and my brother was sitting in that prison. Man, he just thought about it on a whim. King, oh yeah, I know somebody, man. I got somebody for you, bruh. But he was in that prison 2 more years. But the thing was, like Millicent said, his attitude was right.
Mhm.
He was restored to greatness above everything that he was when he was thrown in there.
Right.
And you had a person that understood what that process was. Because if he didn't, he would have been saying all kind of craziness and foolishness, and then he would have had to go through another process
Mhm.
with God to deal with that. So I think that, when we think about how sometimes life just punches
Yeah.
and we take a few hard shots, God is there with us.
Mhm.
He has not forsaken us. We're definitely not forgotten.
Right.
So, you ready for me to do this part?
Real quick, I want to go back and read what LaWanda said. She said, "We hate seeing our faults. It takes a while to look in the mirror. When we look through our own eyes, when we look through our own eyes, we see others and not ourselves at times. And
Mm,
a lot of times when we do that,
mm,
that is so detrimental to our relationships, and we don't even realize it
mm,
because we trying to so-called see the faults in ourselves, but we picking out every little bitty thing, about our spouse that may be
mm.
wrong or how they don't do this and how they don't do that, and we tend to focus on that stuff
Yeah,
instead of focusing on ourselves and getting ourselves right.
but I'm telling you, boy, those conversations for us, I don't know about others, but they're sitting out there on that porch, man. It'd be some tough stuff happening.
Hmm.
It'd be some tough stuff happening. You
Yeah.
trying to take it off?
Yeah.
You gonna put the light back? Oh, it's
Oh,
okay.
maybe something like that. There you
Woo,
go.
it's bright now.
Okay.
Okay, and so, but I think that because we have really like face some of these tough conversations like between ourselves
Hmm.
when we talk out there on that porch. It's a space, man. It's an annoying space out there, and
Yeah.
we get through it, even though it may not be the end of what needs to take place. The
Right.
fact that we can have that tough conversation and then go through that process, and you see how the development of both of us, we
Hmm.
come out better. It was worth it all.
Right.
So when we fast forward that to marriage, when we
Hmm.
fast forward that to those that are engaged, when we fast forward that to those that may be in a committed relationship and they're looking to take that next level,
Hmm.
it's the same thing. Because for those that are in a committed relationship and you see that there are some areas of improvement for yourself and for the person that you love, we talked about how you engage in that. Some things you can just open up the can of worms. And in some instances, you have to pray over the atmosphere of what that looks like and then do it. But either way, you have to address it. Because if not, 10 years come by, or I thought I was going to change him, or I thought I was going to change her. No, you was not.
But
The
can I
issue has
ask
got
you
to
a
be
question?
addressed.
What's one of the greatest gifts that you can give to your spouse?
Honesty.
A better version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get a better version of yourself?
You got to face yourself. You got to face yourself. If you know, what's that song? Andy Mineo, my biggest enemy is me, and even
Yeah,
I can't stop me.
exactly.
So it's just, you're never alone. It sucks to feel that way. And sometimes when you do reach out to people and you expect for them to call you back and be that shoulder and all of that, and they don't always do it, oh man, sure, they should.
Right.
But for whatever reason, they just didn't do it. It's not that they don't love you. It's not that they ain't there for you. It's just that sometimes in situations like that, God is letting you know, hey, brother, hey, sister, you need to talk to me.
Hmm.
And there's going to be a ride in which it's just us, and there's not going to be nobody else,
Right.
particularly this particular ride. But when you come out on the other side of this, you're going to come out stronger,
Hmm.
with more humility, with more compassion, with more empathy,
Hmm.
with less of a retaliatory response, I guess that's what I'm
Right.
trying to
Right.
say, or feelings to want to retaliate
Hmm.
with words. So we have an awesome opportunity to get ready to close this out. So I'm going to read this. Oh, we still got to be Psalms though. So I'm going to read this now. So this is like the devotional for June the 3rd. And then we'll be able to, once we read like Psalms, after we read this, we'll be able to tie everything in. It says, it hurts to feel forgotten. Our boss gives the promotion to someone else. Our friends exclude us from the party. Our relatives fail to share the latest family joys or sorrows. Our house sits ignored by the real estate market. Our spouse chooses friends, work, or the kids over time with us. We feel trapped and alone
Hmm.
in our situation with no hope in sight.
Right.
No matter how neglected you feel, it says God sees you. He knows how you've given and served. He recognizes how life is unfair, and sometimes it is. He has a plan to show you kindness. He's with you now and preparing what he has to do for you for tomorrow. Just as God remembers you, pay attention to each other. That's where it comes into you and your spouse or you and your committed relationship. Pay attention to each other. Keep your promises to care and help each other.
Hmm.
Don't leave your spouse behind to pursue your own happiness.
Right.
Use the strength and the blessing you receive to build up your loved one every day.
Hmm.
Pray and ask God's help. It says, excuse me, pray and ask for God's help in your time of trouble. Ask Him for greater love to stand by each other through it all. And here it is, Ramona. Trust Him to remember you always.
Yep.
Everything that we talked about today, before we read this, everything that we talked about before we read this
Hmm.
was everything that we discussed.
Right.
Everything that happened with Joseph while he was in the prison,
Hmm.
the cupbearer, the chief baker. You know, the chief baker is not around because he probably was complaining about the process. And his bread that was plucked out was the birds that plucked out his flesh because in the process he was complaining about being in the prison instead of understanding what he needed to do to get out, is face what he needed to deal with. So quite naturally, hey, there were two dreams, both of them interpreted, but he didn't like his result. But he didn't change his approach. He didn't change the way he dealt with the situation.
Hmm.
So that's his lot.
Okay.
But now here we go. We've explained the process with the prison.
Hmm.
We explained the fact that Joseph didn't give up even though he was really stomped on and forgotten. We explained the fact that he kept his faith, he kept his strength, and he had to face that alone in that space. But he received more when he got out. He received more when he was released, even though
Right.
it took 2 additional years.
Right.
Oh man, 2 additional years. Wow. But sometimes, even in your life, don't worry about who gets the promotion. Not your time. That means you're not going to be promoted.
That's right.
Don't worry about what they got over there when they pull up in a car and it look better in your car. Who cares? Don't worry about the fact that somebody got this version of a shoe and you don't. Who cares? What matters is, where is your heart in all of this? Are you the humble person that you should be? Are you where you should be as a person?
Right.
Or do you allow these materialistic things to drive your hunger to be able to have a relationship with God that's viable through things? Because we will all come to that place where we feel alone. And thank God, in a marriage, a committed one, where you love your spouse and you ain't messing around, is that when you see that your spouse is in that place, in that space, then you are there to comfort them. You are there to let them know that it don't matter what you go through or what you face or how you feel, I am with you.
Yeah.
But more so is that you understand that even if it wasn't your spouse, which it should be, is that God will not leave you, He won't forsake you, He won't let you be forgotten.
And I want to say this too. Sometimes if our spouse is in that place and you just don't know what to say, sometimes it's just a matter of not saying anything at all and just holding them and just listening.
Yeah.
If you don't have an answer, it's just holding them and just listening,
Yeah.
or just holding their hand, or just being close to them. Your spouse can feel that.
Of course.
When it's genuine. If you don't know what to say, that's great. But how much easier is it if they don't know what to say, but they still in your space standing with you?
And just listening, because we talked about this before,
Right.
and I'm just saying it from a male perspective. You don't have to fix everybody. You ain't got to be there like a mechanic to fix your wife. You ain't got to be there like a mechanic to fix your husband. Sometimes they're venting because they just feel hurt and they want to let it out.
Right.
When they get through all that process, and then you start talking about what you need to do to get out of that situation and stay out of it, deal with this thing, unpack it.
And one of our goals is to be able to be in that safe space with our spouse to feel like we can do that.
Yeah. And that takes time too, to build a safe space to be able to talk. But it should be there. But we can't assume that.
Right.
So wherever you are in your marriage, that's something that you're gonna be praying for too. Can Lord help us to build this space, this like marriage altar where we can be able to have these conversations of love, respect, trust, honesty, joy, pain, knock down, drag out, but not like we are opponents,
right?
But like we are, like in the platoon, like in the military, we together,
comrades,
tag team links. Tag team links. That's good. So, thank you, Uncle Bill. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, Uncle Bill. I love you.
I want to address this right quick, and then we can go on and finish. The one that said, if we can make it through not knowing how long, or if your mind can handle the battles. But the thing is, even in that time, Wanda, we have to learn how, and I had to learn this, and Miss Vassie had to teach this to me. And even to this day, she told me this over 7 years ago, and it still sticks in my brain, that even through the process, the good and the bad, what is it that God wants you to learn during that time? And I think if we focus more so on what is it that He's trying to teach me during that time, and God, I'm confused, I'm mad, I'm upset, but I need you to help me and to just be my peace and just calm me, and give me your word to just direct me to which words to give me comfort. I think if we focus more on that, it makes that process of waiting easier.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, God wouldn't be having you to face yourself if it was something that, could better promote you or make you better. That could be the very reason why you don't get the promotion, or why it's not time for you to get it. It's not that you're not gonna get promoted. It may be that has to be addressed. And so when we talk about a space and a place, and we want you to work with your spouse to create that space, that's what we're talking about. It's unavoidable. because in all of our spaces where we're working with God, He's really identifying some areas that He knows. He knows, and we really know in that space that it's something. It's just that are you going to have the courage to go ahead and face it? Really, what it comes down to. It's not that you don't know. Everybody knows a lot of times their behaviors and how they conduct business. It's just that when exposes it and you don't respond in the way that you should, or it comes out bad.
It says, "Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am in distress. My eyes grow weak with sorrow, and my soul and body with grief. Life is consumed by anguish, and my years by groaning. My strength fails because of my affliction, and my bones grow weak. I am the utter contempt of my neighbors, and an object of dread to my closest friends. Those who see me on the street flee from me. I am forgotten as though I were dead. I have become like broken pottery." And then 14 through 17 says, "But I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Deliver me from the hands of my enemies, from those who pursue me. Let your face shine on your servant. Save me in your unfailing love, and let me not be put to shame, Lord. For I have cried out to you, but let the wicked be put to shame and be silent in the realm of the dead." And verse 21 says, "Praise be to the Lord, for he showed me the wonders of his love when I was."
All right. The
So,
plane
Wanda, that
landed.
time that you were talking about, if we can make it through those times, let's focus on Psalms 31. Because what I read was feeling what we felt before. At some point in time, all of us have been through this. Whether it was with our spouse,
Job,
work, other
neighbor,
family
like
members.
on the street, on our neighborhood street.
Yep.
All of this is real talk. Now, if this was written that long ago, it was still happening. People were still having these feelings.
That's right.
But God said, I see you. You may be invisible to others and they don't understand what you are facing, but I see you. And not only do I see you, I am here to help guide you through these feelings of uncertainty, these feelings of utter rejection. And like it says, my bones grow weak. I'm getting tired.
That's right.
And I'm ready to give up. But, and then the but came, I lift up my eyes, I praise you. I know that you are going to be with me.
I trust you.
Let your face shine upon your servant. I mean, there's so much in there because we all get to that point. But the process is for a reason. You have value because if you didn't have value, you wouldn't be around. You wouldn't be among the living. You have value. And what we really, my hope and, what I would want for everyone is that while you have this opportunity, while you have the strength and the mind, the strength in your mind, the focus of your mind, is that this the legacy of what you leave behind, even though we will all return to the dust of the ground. These videos can be played over and over and over again. It could be somebody in another country, another part of the world that could be going through something. If this would help them, I don't have to be alive for them to be blessed.
Right.
And
Chanel said, God gives you the strength to live beyond your feelings.
Beyond your feelings. And so I am very happy because we're able to look at Facebook and be able to look at comments there and then go over here and look at comments inside of our YouTube live and be able to answer questions or be able to recognize people's thoughts about all of this. But just know, hey, we made it. We took off. We got to 30,000 feet. We discussed. We shared. Then we took our approach, got our plane down on that approach. And then Millicent came in with Psalms 31 and landed a plain baby. And so now you can go back and look at this as many times as needed. All the scriptures are there. And basically, the opportunity is there. If you
Right.
have a friend, if you have a coworker, if you see somebody that's struggling, point them to the direction of something that can help them.
Right.
And it ain't us trying to be getting some kind of ratings. It's only just us sharing what we would want for anybody to have an avenue of support. That's
Right.
all it is. And in that support,
Mhm.
we pray and hope that when you come out of the process where you are and where you want to be, you will be so much better as a person,
Right.
as a leader, as a parent, as a friend, as a co-worker.
Mhm.
All of those things will be given to you.
Right.
It's 9:01.
Okay.
I'm done talking. I need a refill.
Okay.
And
So we're gonna go get our refill and grab something to eat. But we just want to let all of you know how much we appreciate
yes,
you.
we
We
appreciate
thank
you
you
all.
for supporting us, for loving us, for your prayers, your comments, and just helping us grow. And not only that, but to help foster God-filled, God-centered marriages
Mhm.
everywhere.
Amen.
So we love and appreciate you, and we will see you next Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk more. Might do a midweek check-in like we did
On the porch.
Tuesday
Yeah.
on the porch.
On the porch.
Maybe we can call it this segment on the porch.
You want to call it on the porch?
On the porch.
On the porch. A
All
lot of things
right.
go out there on the porch.
So we'll see you next Saturday and discuss more marriage matters because
Your
your
marriage
marriage
matters.
matters. Bye.
See you
Have a good
later.
weekend.